Yo, what's going on, people? Nice one for tuning into the channel again. So let's talk fighting. Wilder versus Fury 2, February 22nd is coming up. And recently BT Sports have put up numerous amount of videos, might I add, with great impartiality. And that's sarcasm, because obviously we only see who they're promoting, the British fighter obviously, and that's all he seems to be promoting, even in the way they're actually putting across the titles of the vids. They got videos talking about, 7 minutes and 56 seconds of Tyson Fury showboating, taunting and jabbing Deontay Wilder's head off, and that's the title of it. Now, as funny as that is, and it causes controversy, and that is from a BT Boxing, I think that's a bit like, about a BT Boxing platform, I think that's a bit like unprofessional in regards to actually promotion. Like, you should be kind of promoting fighters. This kind of seems like it's someone's personal account, but I take it it's obviously trying to adhere to the British fans or the Tyson Fury fans, obviously. So I just thought I'd get that in there, because I think that it kind of leads on to the next point that I'm talking about. Is by now you've probably seen the debate with Big John Fury, David Haye, Paulie Malignaggi and Steve Bunce. Obviously, first of all, when you've got the man, well, the father of one of the participating athletes on the debate table, we haven't got good marks for impartiality there. And obviously, I like Big John Fury. I thought he's funny, but obviously he was biased towards his son, and he didn't really give any option or even any indication that Wilder could even get better or even put in a better performance. So it seemed automatically that David Haye was the only person who tried to be objective and in giving praise to both fighters and criticism to both fighters. So at the end of the day, is Tyson Fury, we know, has got some great skills, but so is Deontay Wilder. It's like another BT Sport video, Jack Reese, who had the best seat in the house on the Wilder Fury one. He said he believed that Wilder won the first 4 rounds. So by that logic, if he won the first 4 rounds and won 9 and 12, wouldn't that make it 114, 112 to Wilder, based on them 9 and 12th round being a 10-8 round? But that's how I had it anyway. But either way, as he gave Fury the count, and usually people wave it off there, but in this quote-unquote spirit of boxing, he allowed it to continue, which makes for all the better controversial. And either way, whichever way, just them getting up anyway was amazing. That was sick. Like, I prefer Deontay Wilder, but I give credit where due. That was amazing how we got up from that. But at the same time, I give credit where due. Even though Tyson Fury is not my favourite fighter in the heavyweight division, I can tell you that he's one of the best in the heavyweight division, because I try and be as objective to talk about people's strengths and the weaknesses. But you can see Big John on this debate clearly had no impartiality, and he wouldn't even say anything his son needs to be careful of, really. And it seemed like it got into kind of a David Haye, who was sort of like speaking about Wilder, and then John Fury, who was kind of saying all the things about Tyson. So when you look at it that way, his dad's always going to be in his corner, which is good, and I commend him for it. You can't not respect that or dislike that. I just thought that he was very overpowering in his opinion a lot and cut a lot of people off. And obviously, Steve Bunce, like, Steve Bunce seemed like he was up fucking John Fury's ass. Like, before the Vladimir Klitschko fight, we were there, we knew that he got in Big Vlad's head and all of that shit, like proper chatting shit. But even all of that nonsense, it's don't get me wrong, you can have your opinion on personal feelings on who you think won or who's going to win or whatnot. We can have a little debate about it as always, but that's you're fine, and you can justify it with certain things. I'm not coming here and saying that I believe Deontay Wilder cannot lose to Tyson Fury. No. But a lot of people switch it the other way around, believe that, you know, Tyson Fury can't be beaten by Deontay Wilder, and that's not the case. Deontay Wilder could detach Tyson Fury from his senses, with one punch. Tyson Fury, if he was ever going to stop Deontay Wilder, which he's predicting in 2 rounds, he said this last time, let's meet in 4 rounds, let's have it, meet in the centre of the ring and all of that, and he never did it. So I don't really think he's going to do it now, even if he sees it as he got robbed of a decision. But he's coming in bigger at 19 stone and changing trainers and going to Kronk Gym, which is renowned for fighters being, well, going for the knockout as Emmanuel Stewart. That's the only way you can take it out of the judge's hand and actually take the opportunity with both hands. And obviously if you don't knock the person out, then you probably win, because you've obviously been trying to, and I don't mean just recklessly, obviously. And there was times when Wilder was reckless in the first fight, I can say that, you know what I mean? But I believe after the 4th round he had little moments, but after the 4th round he started swinging for the hills and that kind of a bit too much. And then when he kind of measured it down, he was able to get the drop. But when we're going back to this debate, is Paulie was asking David Haye. I felt like it was unfair that he kept putting the questions about Wilder, like David Haye has to defend Wilder. Don't get me wrong, David Haye has probably the best, well, definitely had the best analogies or experiences with Wilder specifically in the ring, because he's actually sparred him. And he said, like, I've cracked them with shots that have put people down. I've been cracked with shots in the jaw, and they still haven't been as hard as Wilder's was when he glanced me head. So, and then suddenly people want to jump on David Haye and start going on like he's talking shit. The guy's been in there with him. If there's anyone who can talk about being in the ring with Deontay Wilder, it's the guy who was in the ring with Deontay Wilder. Whether it be sparring or not, he can tell you. So you've got to listen to what he's saying in terms of what he knows firsthand. And he gave Fury credit. He said that he believed Wilder usually gets people hurt, then goes wild, but then in that first fight he started kind of being a bit too aggressive without really getting Fury hurt too much early on, and that's what he felt like was his downfall, and didn't show enough of the boxing skills that David Haye firsthand says he knows he's got. So in there, Paulie asks David Haye, how do you think Wilder can adjust? How do you think you think he can adjust? Now, when David Haye starts telling him about how he thinks he can adjust because he's a lot better boxer than he's given credit for, and if he calms down and be more patient because he believes he can be a lot better than the fight that he showed, and he also believed that Fury had to be better than the last fight in order to beat Deontay Wilder because he believes Wilder will be better. And then Paulie's like, oh, you're trying to get him to fight like David Haye, and he's saying no, I know these things. And then Paulie starts basically taking what David Haye said and then starts going, yeah, you know, I think he gets too much stick for being a bad boxer. I think he's got a good jab and that, you know what I mean? And I think he only goes wild when he really gets people hurt. It's like, lad, David Haye just told you that. So at the end of the day, you can have your opinion, but just be rounded. Don't be like dancing around the subject. Because I always took Paulie for a straight, kind of shoot a straight talker sort of guy, and he kind of beats around the bush in that. And obviously Big John has got a lot to say, and he's a big guy obviously, so I think he might have been a bit intimidated because he was just cutting everyone off. And David Haye, to his credit, was the only one who really stood his ground to get his piece across also, and he wasn't just being biased for Wilder. He was saying what he did well, what he does well, and what he can do better, and what he didn't do well, and a good, well, as objective as you can be. So John Fury obviously has a lot of his opinion said on the debate show, and I thought that, like, even throughout it you see that Bunce is even saying, oh, you know, don't you think Wilder can be better against Tyson? And he's like, no. So John Fury didn't seem to have any inkling that, you know, it could be. So Deontay Wilder could be more dangerous in the rematch. And David Haye was just saying, do you think that? Because and Tyson, does he think that? Because I think that's a dangerous strategy. So obviously, Big John Fury's his dad, isn't he? He's going to be in his son's corner, and I admire that and I respect that. You know what I mean? And you know, Big John back in the day wasn't nothing to mess with. You could tell. I believe Big John Fury was harder than Tyson, to be fair. Tyson Fury, that is, like, in his heyday. He's a big dude. And not just being big, like, you know, just because you're big, that doesn't mean you're, like, hard. But you can just tell John's from the old school. But, yeah, I think Paulie and Bunce did give Wilder a bit of credit in saying that. I think that Wilder's mentality is strong. That was from Paulie. And Bunce says he believes Wilder will do better in the rematch. He said he had Tyson thinking that Tyson would beat him in the first, but he doesn't think it will be as... He thinks it's closer, like a 60-40 type thing. So, like, Hay also made a good valid point that the change of trainers and Tyson Fury getting bigger, going up to 19 stone and talking about trying to get the knockout on Deontay Wilder, it kind of goes against the whole don't punch with a puncher. But at the same time, you got to smother him, or so they say, you got to smother a puncher as well. But Tyson Fury, in most people's eyes and most people's best bet, would be to try and, you know, box basically as he did the last time, maybe just try and put a bit more sting on it, but more or less that would win him the fight, especially because of all the media coverage and all this thing, oh, we was robbed and all of that. So we got it, that's also going to take into the fact that if it goes 12 rounds and Tyson Fury boxes the same way, they're going to give it to Tyson Fury, aren't they? So I take it that Wilder's looking for the knockout. And it's intriguing because Tyson Fury said this the last time, oh, you know, let's get into the centre of the ring, and you know, he didn't do that. Wilder was the aggressor most of the fight. So a good point that Hay also made in what is that, and Ben Davison, it was actually about Ben Davison, that he felt the split with Ben Davison could be hurting him because he got him to that point. And, you know, according to people, that, you know, Ben Davison helped him and Tyson Fury won the first fight with Wilder, or that's what, you know, of people who were of that opinion. So when you've done that, I felt Big John was a bit disrespectful there. He was saying he used to be a PTI not so long ago, and, you know, Tyson only needed companionship. He could have done all of that himself, and that may be true, but well, to a degree, but then it can't be that true because Ben Davison was the one big key factor in trainer who helped him get to that point. So at the same time, I felt that was a bit sly, not even sly, it was a bit, it come across a bit ungrateful in a way that, you know, you helped your son get to a certain level and get back on track and, you know, come back from all these mental health issues or whatever, and, you know, it seemed like he had more bad to say about him being you can't let a boy do a man's job and stuff like that. So, you know, we might have been so-called inexperienced, but Ben Davison, you know, helped Tyson Fury, and you can't ever forget that, especially if it was your son who he helped. So I think that was a bit bad, but then it also could work in the favour of Wilder. You know, all of these changes that Tyson Fury's making, they might go against him, who knows. But I thought it was a bit heavy how he done that to Big John done that to Ben, and I thought David made a valid point that could help hinder him the split with Ben Davison. Also, I seen the other analysis with David A and Ben Davison before this debate show, if you caught it, and Ben Davison even was talking. Obviously they were so biased on Fury for most of the fight, but I mean most of the whole programming, but he did say Wilder's a better boxer than people give him credit for, and he was showing that analysis and showing he can box on the back foot also, which was a lot different to what people were saying. So at the end of the day, they're both top level opposition, and we're going to see who the number one in the division is come Saturday night. So I'm going for Wilder. I know there'll be people going for Fury, but I'm going for Wilder stoppage or KO, but that could change possibly. But I believe Wilder's going to win, but it doesn't mean I don't believe Fury can't win. But I'm highly doubtful that it's going to be by knockout, because if you look at his last fight with Otto Wallin, especially the eye, that's going to be a target. But if you look at the Otto Wallin fight, when he got his eye cut, he definitely was trying to sit on the shots and trying to put Otto Wallin away, and he couldn't do it. So I don't see in a small space of time is he going to with changing trainers and working on these things don't come overnight. Yeah, he's got a good base and that, but Tyson Fury, he has, you know, knocked 20 people out or stopped 20 people in 29 fights, but he's not considered a big puncher. And people say, oh yeah, he doesn't sit on his punches a lot, but you know, when you make people miss, you're meant to make them pay, and you should be setting people up for the knockout. Like, it's a fight and it is boxing, but you know, it's heavyweight boxing, and you come to see a knockout of some sort. So let me know what you think in the comments anyway. Subscribe, like. What do you think? Did you catch any of them shows? What did you think about it? Do you think it was comical? Well, I thought it was comical and it was thoroughly entertaining, but especially the part where Big John's betting David A 50 to 100 G's, them big boy bets. But at the end of the day is, you know, it's a good fight. It's a top fight. It's the big fight in the division right now, and you know, then we'll hopefully get to see the winner versus Anthony Joshua. But let me know anyway what you think, people. Peace.